Hi guys, Luton here. Now, with all of the large AAA games that are happening right now, Assassin's Creed, there's still some new Battlefield, Dragon Age, Far Cry, all of these big hype fests happening right now, it's pretty easy to forget that there are plenty of other games out there. Now, I wanted to showcase this one for you that's been fully released today. This is called This War of Mine. Now, This War of Mine is a totally different style of game, mainly in that you play as civilians. And you are a small group of civilians living in a city ravaged by civil war. The city has been largely destroyed and ruined, and you're left scavenging for survival around the city. You play as a group of individuals in a house, and you have to find the means to just survive on a day-to-day basis. You need to look after their well-being, you need to look after their, their body temperature, their health, their food, if they get injured, their general happiness. Even things like how you interact with other people you find around the town will affect their happiness and the choices you make. So do you want to play as a kind of good Samaritan? Do you want to play as a ruthless scavenger which will do anything to survive? So those factors have an impact on how you play the game. So right now we've just got our day log, so we've been out at night scavenging and we're just coming back to the shelter. And here's my three characters. And we're seeing what they're doing. So we've got Bruno, Pavel and Katya. And something that I do love about this game again is that it's gender equal. You have women and men as playable characters, and they're all completely equal in their abilities. It's not like the men are particularly stronger in combat than the women. It's not like they all have their own attributes, of course. Like for example, like Bruno right here, he's a really good cook. Pavel, he's a fast runner. So they do have their own personal attributes, but they're all completely capable. And I love that the fact that they've sort of just brought that in. And again, sort of in the way that they're designed and defined, that they have no kind of imbalancing there. It's all on a level, which is really nice. It makes a big change. Reminds me very much of kind of like The Last of Us in that effect with Ellie. She seemed small and childlike, but at the same time, like, she could take people down and get in there. And again, it feels very much like that. So there's some really nice features with this game, and I actually personally was not a huge fan of this style of game before. I'd seen a few games done in this style, this kind of side-scrolling point-click, and I was never huge on them, but actually this one I think has been done very, very well. Now right here you can craft different items in the house. You have a workbench which you can improve. Here we've crafted a radio from the bits and pieces that we've scavenged. You can find electronic parts and so on and so on. And then the radio, once we have it, not only does it improve their happiness by playing music, but you can actually find out information about the city. So you can find out weather and how that might affect things. You can find out information about just general areas, whether there's danger. And that might affect your decision when you go out at night. Now in the daytime you can't go out to scavenge, and the reason being that there's sort of meant to be snipers operating around the town, so you can't leave the building. But at night time, that's when you go out to scavenge. What you will find though is you have guys like this. They'll come to the house and they'll trade and they'll offer you items. And again, this can be a really critical thing, because sometimes you can only go out at one place at night when you're going to scavenge. So if you go there and you were looking for a specific item and you either couldn't get it or couldn't find it, the trader will give you an opportunity to perhaps find some specific item like medicine that you might really, really need. Also, the trading system is great. It's very much like Civilization, where you put your items on the table and then you barter out a deal. It's nice and simplistic, straightforward. It works really well. So here we are coming to the night period, and right now what we're doing is we're planning what we want to do. And again, like, you can see your attributes. So Bruno, good cook. Katya, bargaining skills. Pavel, he's a fast runner. Okay, so we can look at the different areas that are available to us in the town, and these fluidly change all the time. Different areas will pop up, the threats and dangers available to them will change, and you can see from the sort of short list here, the bullet points, it will tell us what is going on in that area from the information we have. So food, materials, weapons, so that can determine where you want to go. It also tells you a little sort of report, if you have it, on how dangerous that area may be, and again, early on that might sway your decision about what you want to do, or indeed how you're playing the game. If you're playing the game sort of as I say, good Samaritan, you might not want to go to the threat areas primarily. It might be a sort of secondary choice depending on what's happening with you and your guys. So here we see Katya, and she's moving into this place. She's coming to this building. She's looking for the items that we need. She was having a listen at the door. This guy has heard her. The people, the occupants of the houses, they will hear sounds as you move around. So you've got to be very, very careful. If you're not crouching and being stealthy, they will hear you. Similarly, if you're opening doors or if you're sort of scavenging for items and you're rummaging around, they're going to hear that. Now we went up here to see if we were safe, but suddenly this guy comes up here. He's armed, he's got a knife, he's got body armor. We have very little. We're early on in the game. Katya, she's trying to fight back, but this guy is armed to the teeth. She can't run away. This guy's fighting, and sadly, she dies. And I wanted to put this in here just as part of the overview to show you that there are actual consequences, because sometimes with these games they can feel a little soft, you know, these kind of side-scrolling, more narrative-based games, they can be a little soft sometimes, and even a little bit easy mode. But I actually found that this game played out quite difficult. The decisions that you had to make on a day-to-day basis really were relatively challenging. Not to mention the fact that the loss of one of your house members is devastating. This has a huge impact on your productivity, your ability to defend yourself, your ability to find items, and it really changes the dynamic of the game. The loss of one person is a huge deal. Now the next night we had to go out to scavenge to find more items, and Pavel is now out. He's a fast runner and he's moved into this building. We're trying to find food and general supplies, items, things that we can use for crafting, etc. Things that we can use for shoring up the house, because you would have seen in the old house building there, we had huge holes in the side of the building. You can shore those up by sort of using materials to defend them. And you can see Pavel here, he's moved into the shadows, and that enables him to be kind of stealthy. He can stay out of the way. And like I say, I've seen games in this style. I've played a few games in this style. I've seen a few indie games in development in this style. But this one I think so far is the best I've seen in how they actually operate and carry out the actions, as well as the art style. The art style of this game is really, really nice. You see how the kind of faded areas around have this kind of charcoal effect. And again, you can adjust that if you don't want it. But I actually like it. It adds this kind of nice character to the game and the way in which it plays out. So you can pretty much move around these areas as you wish, but some of the doors will be blocked, barricaded, some will be locked. You may need specific tools to access certain areas, not to mention the fact that you don't know where any of the items are. You'll see at the top left there it says night 7 and there is a timer. That timer is constantly ticking and that represents the amount of time you basically have to operate this period. So you can't spend loads and loads of time, so there is actually a time, factor in your scavenging and also your planning in the day. So this is a real, you've got to prioritize, you've got to take some chances, you've got to take some risk. You can't stand around in the shadows waiting for that perfect opportunity. You only have so much time because you've got to get the items you need and get back to your house in order to survive. I really enjoyed so far this War of Mine. There's going to be more of it coming up. I may post one more longer video here, and then it's probably going to transition over to my second channel, Looting Gaming, because it definitely suits that channel more. So if you enjoyed this, guys, and you want to see more of it, please subscribe to Looting Gaming. The link is in the notes below and on the screen right now. I think this game really is just refreshing. It's nice to have something a little bit different. Currently on Steam right now, this game is £15, it's $20, and I think about 18 euros. So I'll see you guys next time for some more of this War of Mine.